Hi everyone, my name's Britton Cline, Ad Sales Manager, and welcome to this week's edition of Marketing Minutes by Scuba Diving Industry Magazine.
And I'm William Cline, publisher. So thank you for watching our show today.
That's right.
And if you're a company out there, you'd like to get on Marketing Minutes, reach out to Britton and I. We'd love to talk to you.
That's right.
So who do we have lined up for today?
Right. So today we have our guests, Robert Trosset and Bob Holston of Finz Dive Center in Key West. Robert and Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, Robert and Bob. So Robert owns Finz, and they run a trip out to the Dry Tortugas, a place I've always wanted to go diving to. Right. Nobody even hardly really knows where it's at, but I think we have a map up here showing it's way off of Key West there, which I guess the remoteness makes it spectacular. So today's show should be really quite interesting.
Yeah, it definitely will be. But to dive right into things, Robert, could you tell us a little bit about your operation, how long you've been in Key West, and a little bit about your Tortugas trips?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me. My name is Robert Trosset. I was born here in Key West. So I've
native.
been here 40,
Cool.
Yeah, 40 years. Grew up on the water, grew up in the water, really, swimming, diving, learned to dive in high school and just love it. I started Finz back in 2011 because there was no real spearfishing six-pack operator in town. And I wanted to do that. I was working for other companies and it just wasn't my fit. Wanted to expand out. And, Finz was just a natural fit for me to do exactly what I wanted, when I wanted to do it with all my clients that are, just fantastic.
It's awesome.
Wow. So I hear the reefs are amazing, Bob, out there. Can you speak a little about the quality of diving in the Tortugas and Key West in general?
Well, the reefs in Tortugas are normally in a little bit better shape than what we see in the Keys because we don't have the influence of pollution coming in from the islands, no cruise ships stirring it up. And it's more pristine because less people. We're looking 65 miles or so out there, and Finz is the only shop that runs there on a daily basis.
Wow.
The good part of the coral in the Keys has been impacted to some degree, but the strong point is we probably have the biggest set of coral restoration programs going on. Anywhere from Mission Iconic Reefs to Moat Marine. It's basically $100 million project over the next 20 years to redo the reefs.
Wow.
Not only from an environmental standpoint, but from an economic standpoint, because the reefs provide a lot of protection during storms.
Right.
If we didn't have the reefs, it would be like when Katrina hit the Gulf Coast, all that water just flowed right in. And the multi-million-dollar impact that the reefs have on protecting the islands are very, very important to us.
Absolutely. Wow. That's really, really interesting. Robert, I read the second largest artificial reef, the USS Vandenberg, was shifted actually in a hurricane, and now the deck sits at about 108 feet. So I've heard that's pretty deep, but what kind of experience would you personally recommend for a dive such as that?
Yeah, absolutely. The Vandenberg is our flagship wreck that's in Key West. I did have the opportunity to be the first person to dive it after it did move in the hurricane.
Way.
And so, yeah, we went out before any shops had a boat in the water. It was kind of just me and a few friends, and got there and I'm like, what is going on? Something's different. I have 700 plus dives on the wreck myself. Like it feels close, but it's just not right. We went down, and then I came up after the first dive and noticed, yeah, the boat's sitting different. It's direct moved. Amazing.
Wow.
So it did move a little bit deeper from where it originally was. It is considered an advanced wreck. It does have quite a bit of current that can be on the wreck, and it can change quickly too. So we might have zero current at the beginning of the first dive and 2 knots of current at the beginning of the second dive.
Very cool.
So we do want to see a advanced open water certification, or at minimum a deep water diver certification.
For sure. That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah, we're watching some great photos here from your website about the Vandenberg and some of the other wrecks down there in Key West.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, it's great. So it sounds like your operation is really ideal if you got a dive shop that's got a small group. Say they're in Atlanta and they want to do a weekend trip. They could drive down, carpool together, charter a boat, just six people max, and go out and do either Tortugas or do some of the other cool dive sites around Key West there. I have a question for both of you separately. What's your favorite dive site in the Keys? Bob, you can go first.
I think at this point, I would have to say working off of Marquesas, the Cosgrove Shoal, Light, and all, because you don't have as much impact because you're roughly 25 miles out. So it's not Dover Light. The marine life throughout the Keys is unrivaled anywhere in the Caribbean. Even though coral can be impacted, we still have tremendous fish life. And so I like diving off the Marquesas.
Well, my favorite dive site is at the Dry Tortugas. It's a site called the Bat Caves, and it's about 60-foot max depth. It's a giant coral structure with big swim throughs. You can go in, out, around, up, down, and as you're swimming through it, the top of it's open in certain areas, so the light shines down like a cathedral. Just lights up cool. Inside. It's fantastic. The best dive site I've ever been to in the world. All the Bahamas and Mexico and Caribbean that I've dove, and it's right there in the Dry Tortugas.
So to go out there, you obviously fairly early in the morning, and then get out onto the side. How many dives do you get during the day if you do a Tortuga strip?
Yeah, our Tortuga strip is full day, so we got 10 hours on the water. We get up to 3 dives in there. We customize the trip based on, what your family wants to do, basically. Right. So if you just want to go dive, we can go do our 3 dives, super long, shallow sites, mostly 60 foot or less, and really, get into, really long, clear, warm dives. If we want to skip one of the dives, we can go and visit one of the islands there called Loggerhead Key. You can't get there by the ferry. The only way is by private boat. So it's got the lighthouse on it, beautiful sand beaches, and there is nothing farther west till you get to Mexico.
That's
you
amazing.
Just look out into the ocean.
That's amazing. And of course, the beautiful thing about Key West is you have so many accommodations for small groups, everything from guest house to Airbnbs to small hotels to nice big places. So it's really a great destination if you're a dive shop in the Southeast. Load your customers up, contact Robert and book their boat.
That's right.
So Robert and Bob, thanks for being on our show today. We look forward to seeing you. Brett and I have been wanting to do a Keys on the road trip. I know that Greg Holt does one every year around the trash derbies and things like that are done by, as I recall, Howard does some sort of program there in the Middle Keys, but we would love to get on the road and do some sort of a trip down there and end up down at Key West. Wouldn't that be cool?
Absolutely.
That'd be great. So who do we have? Yeah.
Oh, I'd say we'd love to have you on the boat. We could do a live broadcast from the Dry Tortugas if you want.
Yeah, do you have Starlink?
Man. We sure do.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. We've been wanting to do a live broadcast. So I'm going to challenge you. Next over the next few months, you've got a trip planned out there and you've got the right clientele. Reach out to us and we'll do this show live from the Tortugas. How's that?
Sounds great.
That'd be really cool. That'd be great. So, Britton, who do we got lined up for our next show?
That's right. So, our next guest is going to be our own Marty Snyderman, talking about his Antarctic trips and his work for Atlantis, Philippines. So, stay tuned for that. It should be a great conversation.
Yeah, we just had lunch with Marty this last weekend. He was in town and such a great guy. So
cool.
Bob and Robert, thanks for being on our show. Any last comments you'd like to say to retailers and the dive industry as a whole?
Well, I think, the Keys are such a unique thing. It's the only Caribbean island you can drive to.
That's right.
And there's a lot to do. If you've got family members that don't dive, there's still plenty for them to do in Key West. It's not like being stuck in just a destination where it's just diving.
Yep, the Dry Tortugas is just even that much further, a little bit different, and one of those bucket list items that everybody should get accomplished to get that national park done.
Well, that's very cool. So just so you know, in our February issue that just came out a few days ago, we have a group dive guide to the Florida Keys. was written by the same two guys that wrote our guide to the North Florida wrecks. So some great coverage for the Keys all the way to Key West. So thanks again for being on our show. And again, if you would like to see any of our back issues, you can always go to scubadivingindustry.com. They're all available online. We have a flip book, and we also have a full HTML called Digital Hub. And if you're a dive shop out there, reach out to us. We print and mail every single month. So that's probably going to wrap us up for the day, don't you think, Britton?
That's right.
Okay, we're going to see you guys. I guess you're going to DEMA this fall, so we're going to see you in New Orleans, right?
Sounds good.
All right. Sounds great.
See you there.
Thank you again.
You hear me?